Hello, this session is all about calculations of cumulative values and moving averages. So far we've imported our data and we've built a few visualizations such as that you can see the cases by date. So the data comes as daily data, but if we have a look at the charts on the ECDC dashboard, we can see some of them here, like the one here is cumulative rolling values and also moving averages as well. So what we've got to do is do those two calculations in order to create those charts. We're going to do it in two ways. The first way is quick and easy. The second way is longer, but we learn a bit more about DAX. So let's get started. For any time intelligence calculations, such as a moving average or even a year to date, it's very useful to bring in a table called a calendar table or a dates table. I've got one ready prepared. Let's bring it in. I'm going to go to Get Data. This one is in Excel, though you could have a dates table in SQL or even in DAX. I'm going to open up the Excel file. This Excel file is in the description. A link is in the description, and I'm just going to load it in. A calendar table has a date for a row for every date in the period of interest. And so what we've got in this calendar table is we'll have a row there for every day from the 31st of December 2019. Let me order them ascending all the way through the end of 2020 because our data starts on the 31st of December last year. And what we're going to do is we are going to join it onto the COVID cases fact table like that. And once we've done that, we don't need the date in both columns. Let's just hide that in the COVID cases column. And let's go back to our report pane. Let's tell Power BI that this calendar is a date table. So I'm going to go into Markers Date Table, and I'm going to choose a column which is the date column. It'll check that that column is contiguous, there's no breaks, and therefore it can rely on it for some of its time intelligence calculations. Notice that over here that the date column now has this kind of postage stamp sign against it. Now we would like to make some improvements to our calendar table. Let's see why. I'm going to create a new page, and on that page I'm going to look at my cases by the day of the week. The day of the week was a column in my calendar table, and it gives us this bar chart, as it should, but the first thing about the bar chart, as with all bar charts, it orders it from high to low. We can go and change that by clicking on the three dots, and we can say instead of sorting by cases, I want to sort by day of week, and I want to sort by ascending. And what we've got is we have a week starting on Friday and finishing on Wednesday. That's not right. What Power BI has done has ordered them alphabetically. It just thinks that day of week is a column like a color or a product column. It yet doesn't know that there's a specific order to days of the week. So let's go and change that. I'm going to come over here to the data. I'm going to click on the day of week, and I'm going to say sort by column, and I'm going to choose the day of week key. And when I have a look at that now, nothing seems to happen there, but when I look back we can see things are in the right day of week. Obviously we'd like to do the same thing for the months. The months we don't want in alphabetical order, but I've got this thing called a month key, one for January, 12 for December. So again I can sort my months by my month key, wherever it is, there it is, and I can sort my year month. If I wait, I can sort my year month by the year month key. Now those key columns that we've got need to be in the model because they are ordering the corresponding text columns, but we don't ever need them to see them because we're never going to put them in visual, so we never need to see them in the report pane. So what I can do is I can come to my modeling pane and I can select all three columns, and I can just switch the is hidden to on. And then when I look at that calendar table in the field list, those key columns are disappeared. Let's now create our cumulative cases measure. Before we do that, however, let's create a line chart that we can visualize the data. First of all, I'll just create a line chart with the daily cases on. To create our measure, we go into modeling and we choose quick measure. This gives us a dialog box of common measures, and the one that we want to do is our running total, and what our base value is going to be is basically the sum of our cases. And we're going to do it by date. We could do it by month or something, but date is good for us, and we're just going to click on OK. That is now going to create a measure for us. We can have a look at it. We don't care at this stage very much exactly how the DAX works, as long as it does. What I'm going to do, however, is just come along and change that to cumulative case. There we go. Right, so move that up. And what I can do now is, here we have cumulative cases as a measure in our COVID cases table. I'm going to move it along onto the values, and what we can see is this dark blue line here is our cumulative cases. It looks a bit odd because what we've got is, here we are at the moment, we're on the 2nd of May, and we put our calendar date on the axis, and those dates stretch out to the end of the year, and the cumulative cases for every other day for the rest of the year is simply the same value as the 2nd of May because there are no more cases. How are we going to get rid of this? One way could be to come along to our filter pane, and because we get every day we get the data as of the current day, we can come along to our filter pane and we can say that we want to do relative date filtering, and where it's in the last, I'll say 4 weeks, and if I apply the filter, what we've got there is we've got our cumulative cases and we've got our daily cases. Let's make this into a more interesting chart. What I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the cases, and I'm going to maybe look at the last 4 months rather than the last 4 weeks. I'm going to filter it so that we're just looking at countries in the EU, and I'm going to filter, put the country, I'll put the country region on the legend, and there we can see the different country regions and how they're doing. The final thing that I want to do is to have a log scale on my y-axis. So if I come down to linear to scale type, I can see that I don't have the ability to do a log axis. And the reason for that is Power BI is looking at the data and seeing that we've got a lot of 0 values, and it doesn't allow a log scale axis with a 0 because the log of 0 is minus infinity. The way that we're going to solve that is that we're going to go into our query editor, and then we're just going to remove all those 0 values, or at least make them null. We can't quite remove them. Let's go into our COVID cases dataset and come to our cases column. We'll do a replace values, and wherever there is a 0, we are going to replace with null, and we're going to do exactly the same for the deaths column. Now we've closed and applied and come back into Power BI, and if I go down here, we can see that we don't have any 0 values. We have very small values but no 0 values. And so what we can do, if we click on our scale type, we can see that we can put it as a log axis. So what we've done in the last few minutes is we've brought in a calendar table, we've tweaked it so it works properly. We've done our first DAX measure, the cumulative cases, with a bit of help from the quick DAX dialog, and then we tweaked our data in the query editor so that we can see a log scale on our axis.